So Starcraft the Remastered version came out quite a while ago, but like my last unofficial guide to a video game, this came to me while digging through an old storage unit of just old useless crap I have, and found a couple of interesting treasures, one of which being actual official strategy guide to the game Starcraft. I also have the Brood War one as well. That one actually has the cover. Don't know what happened here. But first off, a little bit about the remastered version. I love the remastered version. I like the graphic enhancements. I especially love the added touch of hitting, I think, F5 to change the graphics to back in the old days. At first, I was a little skeptical. I thought they kind of it's weird how if you play the remastered version long enough, it almost looks like the old graphics look worse than they used to. Like, I remember them being a lot better, but I guess it's just, again, you're so used to the newer graphics that it's such a jarring thing to see, like the old pixels, the old DOS graphics, which did add to the charm of the game. But again, I love the updated version. I like that's not completely like 3D like StarCraft 2. Like the models and everything is all completely 3D now. This is still, 2D. You can completely tell that's again DOS graphics, just upgrade to the upteenth degree. I can't say the word upteenth right now because my nose is plugged, but I did it anyway. One thing I remember thinking when the remastered version was coming out was what were they going to do with the cutscenes? And surprisingly, they decided to keep, remastered the graphics of the gameplay, but kept the old awful cutscenes. I know Blizzard's got a long way graphically, and I'm sure back in the day it was acceptable. I'm not going to say it was groundbreaking, but it was acceptable. But just the whole deliverance look of the humans in those cutscenes is just, it kind of adds a charm to it, because it just occurred to me recently. When I played the game, I haven't played the game since way back when I was a kid. And it wasn't until now, playing the remastered version, that it occurred to me that the Terran are supposed to be kind of like this joke redneck society. And at first I thought that was kind of weird. Like, this is the people we're supposed to be rooting for. They're the closest to us in this game. I mean, they are us. They're humans compared to the other two races. But they're, complete rednecks. Why is that their design choice? It's really odd. But it kind of makes sense when you think of the whole history of the Terran, because they're this, hillbillies in general. I'm going to confuse hillbillies and rednecks here a lot, but I know hillbillies in general are mainly, they kind of are out in the wilderness, away from the rest of society, kind of doing their own thing in backwater areas. Well, what are the Terran in this case? They're separated from Earth and are just kind of colonizing in these, far out reaches of space, these random planets. Again, they're away from other civilizations. They're kind of backwater kind of people. So it almost kind of adds a charm to it. I don't know why it's such a big deal to me now, just because I've now realized that this kind of a aesthetic they went with these characters. It's interesting though, but still, the graphics look awful in those cutscenes. Oh, another thing being the portraits at the bottom are updated. A lot of the bigger deals being obviously main characters like Jimmy and Kerrigan. Like, their portraits have completely changed over the years with StarCraft 2. Like, they've kind of evolved into different looking characters, and in this they kind of went back, took their portraits and made them look more like they do in StarCraft 2 and all that. The biggest one I like, though, is the SCVs. The Terran SCVs actually look like human beings, because I swear to God, as a kid, I used to think they were some big-nosed, like, earless aliens. Like, I didn't understand what the hell I was looking at when I saw SCVs. Like, I put together eventually that, oh, these are supposed to be people, like human beings in these SCVs, but why do they look so weird? They do not look human to me. But they finally fixed it. Now they actually look like a person in that frame. I still have a hell of a time, like, understanding what a lot of, units are saying. They didn't change the audio at all. So like fire bats, I still like. Apparently, they're saying need a light.
Need a light.
When they spawn from the barracks, but I've never heard need a light. Like there's some like crunch at the end of it or something that doesn't make it sound like they're saying light. I don't know. Anyway, again, of all the things they changed and didn't change the remastered version of Starcraft, they kept in the same gameplay. And this bothers me in a lot of ways because so you have to understand that Starcraft controls, those were the old days of RTSs. We've evolved now into Warcraft 3 and Starcraft 2 where things are more simplistic. Things have been fine-tuned to make gameplay better and easier, smarter to follow and all this stuff. So you make a remastered version of your old school game and you keep all the stuff that you clearly fixed later on in later games. You know what I'm saying? It seems silly and kind of lazy because it seems like it would be an easy fix. They went all out to fix gameplay. You could easily add a few little gameplay. Again, fix what they obviously decided to fix in later iterations. I don't know if this is an elitist thing, like they're afraid that people would cry foul that StarCraft doesn't play the same way as they remember as a kid. But let's be honest, it plays kind of crappy compared to RTSs nowadays. For instance, mineral gathering, where in RTSs now you can easily rally the building that builds your workers to a mineral field or whatever other resource, and whatever RTS we're talking about here. You build a bunch of units. Once they come out of the building, they go straight to working on those resources that they're rallied to. They fine-tuned the micromanagement of RTSs so you can go and do other things while knowing that things are working smoothly at your base. Whereas in the original StarCraft, before this was all fixed and tweaked and made more accessible, you had to meticulously make sure that your workers you're building weren't just sitting around at base. Like each time you're going to work on building buildings or moving your army around and you hear, oh, one of my workers just got built, I have to go back to base, click on him, tell him to go get resources. It seems petty, but it's that extra step that they could have fixed. They could have changed it. And then of course there's the whole 12 guy unit per hotkey bar. Basically you can only command 12 guys at a time. And especially in a game like this where you have the Zerg, where you obviously want to just make swarms and swarms of units and just send them at the enemy, but no, you have to all your Zerglings, you have to drag and click 12 at a time and send them at something. You could hotkey all of them, but it's time consuming. It's stuff like that too, where in StarCraft 2 you could have a whole bunch of them hotkeyed. I don't know the limit, but I know in even Age of Empires did this too. There practically wasn't a limit. You could just have your entire army all on one hotkey, and tell them to do whatever. But again, they kept this whole limitation, even though they obviously fixed it in StarCraft 2. It might be a programming thing. I don't know. But I had to rant about this whole idea that it's remastered, but here we are, trying to relearn this archaic way of real-time strategy, which, if you grew up with it, it's not that big of a deal. I easily got back into the groove. In fact, I'm better at it now because I played future RTSs and, figured out more about how hotkeys worked and stuff like that, shift clicking. But still, it's night and day when you play more modern RTSs and then this more recent RTS game, technically. I guess not technically. I don't know. But overall, though, I played StarCraft when I was really young. I love the StarCraft games. I love the remastered version. I guess I can't say I love the games because I actually haven't played 2 that much. But, again, I have a long history of the StarCraft games. In fact, I started playing it. It's a really weird story, and I don't know how to go about telling it. But I was the young kid in my family. I had 2 older brothers, and they had friends. One of them was a family friend, really close to the family. who worked at an eye doctor place. The eye doctor was also, cool to the family. We lived in a small town. We all knew each other. We were all cool. And so this friend of my brother's, this family friend, he worked at the eye doctor place, and he obviously knew, like, the security codes to the eye doctor's office. So when I was young, my first time playing Starcraft was when my brothers and their friends would go to this eye doctor place after hours at night, and since all the computers in the offices were hooked up to hooked up to each other, they were able to install Starcraft onto all of them and basically play with each other in a doctor's office in the middle of the night. And I don't know if I was like a little shit back in the day and like forced them to take me or something, but eventually this was something they would do, and I was really young, but eventually they like had me go too, and I would play as well. In fact, I remember I had the receptionist's office or the reception desk computer whenever I played. Of course, the guy who worked there, he had the doctor's computer, which was like way down this hallway, and an entirely its own room kind of thing. So like he had his own like sweet setup in there, and I again usually had the reception. Somebody else had the pre-doctor room, kind of eye tests where they have you do like the cover your eye type stuff. There's one of those next to reception. There's a computer. My oldest brother, I'm pretty sure, worked out front in the glasses area. The lady who worked the glasses had her own desk with a computer, and so he played on that computer. It was such a weird experience, but I love it. I love thinking back at that, just the whole idea. Like, this is how I started playing StarCraft in a doctor's office after hours on one of the interconnected computers at a reception desk. It was pretty fun. There's one time that was really crazy. I remember we were playing, and outside, again, we played at night after hours, and outside in the parking lot we could see police lights on. And it's weird because I remember us not freaking out about it, but we checked and it turned out some guy got pulled over by a cop and just pulled over into the parking lot. But this whole idea of like, we're, a couple of kids, a lot of them teenagers, me being like a little kid, in a doctor's office after hours on the computers. You could maybe see the monitors through the windows. Who knows what this cop could have seen. But it's just this whole idea that, there's a cop right outside the parking lot and we're here. It was all innocent. We were just there to play StarCraft. We didn't break in. The guy had the codes because he worked there. But again, it's weird. It's weird to look back on that. But again, that was my personal experience. My first experience playing StarCraft. It's what I always think of when I play the original game now, is the smell of a doctor's office and seeing at a receptionist desk. Another fun fact, I guess, about StarCraft is when I went to college in California, and my roommate's dad happened to be an actor. And I don't know if I should say his name, but he was in Terminator 2. He was in Usual Suspects. He was in Star Trek The Next Generation, which I just now remembered. Like, I rewatched that whole series and forgot he was even in it. Point is, I met this guy, and I'm easily starstruck, so, like, this is just a big deal to me. Like, always to think about. But the best part is, and again, relating to StarCraft, he voiced Alexei Stukov in the Brood War expansion.
Good morning, Captain. I am Vice Admiral Stukov, tactical advisor to Admiral Dugan.
And, again, I played these games as a kid. He also voiced a character in Diablo 2. And, I played both these games as a kid. And I meet this guy and realize he did voices in, like, two of my favorite games back then. Like, it's pretty crazy. So I wanted to point that out, too. It was really awesome. I mean, all I did was shake his hand. He told me good luck in college. But still, I was his son's roommate. Alexei Stukov's son I went to college with. Think about that. So that brings me to the StarCraft guide. The official StarCraft guide. Prima Prima's official... Who's Prima? I just realized that's possessive. Prima's official strategy guides are owned by somebody. Anyway, Prima's official strategy guide of StarCraft. Now, why is this an unofficial guide? Well, that's easy. That's because my best friend and I, back in the day when we played this, he was also an avid StarCraft fan. We loved the hell out of this game and played through the campaign over and over. We loved it so much that we decided, pretty sure it was my idea since this is my strategy guide, we decided to basically deface the official strategy guide. Prima's official, sorry Prima, but we marked on your guide here. Because this guide covers every mission in the campaign. There's some in the Brood War one too, but it's not as interesting as this one I'm about to bring up. But yeah, basically we're like, yeah, let's go through this. I don't think any of us ever read what the strategies in here suggested, but we were like, why don't we just write, and kind of mark on the maps like what we think, what we do when we play this game, back when we were dumb kids, and it's fascinating to say the least. So yeah, this is how it's unofficial, because my friend and I decided to write our own ideas on how you beat the StarCraft campaign. Now, one thing, there's a lot of fun stuff, like Mission 3 of the Terran, where you basically just build, defenses. Like, you're on a time limit, you just don't die until this, rescue comes while you're being attacked by Zerg. Yeah, we wrote defense, so there you go. Not exact. We didn't even write down where you should put bunkers or turrets or anything. Just defense. You got thousands of minerals at your disposal. Just build defense, which is weird because I played the remastered version, and I don't know if anybody else has noticed this too, but it seems like the Zerg attacks are less intense because they get worse and worse as time starts going down. But it didn't seem like that big of a deal. I kind of dicked around with it and started sending guys after the Zerg settlements. But I didn't go very far in. I didn't do very much damage, I don't think. But yeah, by the time rescue came, I easily fended off the Zerg. I remember it being a lot more intense. I don't know, maybe it's just me. But the weird thing, and also the funny thing you'll find in a lot of these the written portions we put is here, Mission 5 of the Terran campaign, the 5th mission in the entire game. You're still kind of learning the basics. You don't even have access to all the stuff the Terran can do. It's the base is this, the enemy base is this piddly little piece of crap down at the bottom of the map. And me personally, I can tell my handwriting from my friends. I wrote that my strategy is let's get this 24 wraiths, right? That's 2 stacks, 2 hotkeys full of wraiths, by the way, 2 dropships full of marines, 3 dropships full of marines / vultures. Holy shit, that is a lot of freaking units. Yeah, so the weirdest thing about this unofficial guide, the biggest flaw in my guide, as I tend to have in a lot of my shit heel kid minded guides I made, is overkill. Complete and total overkill for these missions. You don't need these, especially 24 wraiths. I don't even know what the 24 wraiths are for, because there's easily, I even circled it, there's a mineral thing in the enemy base that you could easily just drop ships into, and it's barely defended at all. And then you have your marines, and even vultures, why not? I rarely ever use vultures. I'm surprised I actually wrote it down here. But, yeah, and that's how I played it this time around, too, as I was just I'll just drop ship into this obviously undefended spot. Again, it's Mission 5, so there's clearly going to be a flaw in the enemy's defenses here. So, yeah, that's... I don't remember how much a dropship carries. Is that a full load, or is that only 6? 54 units, basically. I think 54 units at the most for this mission. That's insane. Let's see what else we got. Again, never actually read the actual missions debrief of what to do here. It'd be hilarious to see compare it to what I put. Oh, this one's also interesting. I feel like my friend and I have a better strategy than what the guide tells you. This one is the one where you immediately lose like a bunch of stuff. You have to like cower in this corner. No, this corner over here. And then, this is where a bunch of stuff gets blown up. Obviously, it's where you should build your second base anyway. This game, for some reason, the guides, for some reason, tells you to push through here to get to this beacon, which you have to send an SCV to. This is the dumbest strategy ever, actually, for the guide to tell you, because that path is surrounded by siege tanks on cliffs that you cannot reach until you find like the ramp to get up to it. So why would you do that? Instead, what I always did, like even naturally, I don't, this. I never used the guide for this or anything. I would always, this is my secondary base, I'll just push through this way and push up there. Like, yeah, you go through a base, yeah, they're going to have units, but it's better than dealing with goddamn siege tanks on these cliffs. So yeah, and my friend would always do that too. He'd just push right up, just go just right up there. And then you get to the beacon easy. Not having to deal with all the bullshit defenses they have. Only, again, 24 Wraiths. I don't remember liking Wraiths that much. I don't know why I use them in everything, especially in this mission. They're not useful at all. 8 Marines, which is actually pretty lacking. The SCV, 8 tanks, that's more like it, 3 Goliaths. So I kind of started dumbing it down, but again, 2 stacks of Wraiths. You don't need that many ships, and I hate them now, so I don't know why I wrote them so much into my strategy. Okay, here we go. New Gettysburg, the famous mission that turned Kerrigan into Zerg. Spoiler. Where you... This one's weird, actually, because you have to kill off the Protoss while not doing any damage to the Zerg. And every once in a while, this guide, I think, is... Yeah, they kind of go back and forth on this, but sometimes they'll have a little key saying, build bunkers where there's circles, build turrets where there's triangles, and so they kind of put... Yeah, they kind of put... around your base, this is the best idea for where you should put your defenses. Again, they're kind of wishy-washy with it, because I'm pretty sure this is the first time they do that kind of thing. Yeah. I guess the first time they thought defenses were necessary. The weirdest thing, though, is they want you to put 3 missile turrets in this back corner here up against the Zerg. Now, the thing about the Zerg is their only flying units they're going to have at this point are Mutalisks that can't turn invisible, so you don't need detection, and Overlords, which are harmless and basically count as the Zerg's supply. So if you're going to get attacked by Mutalisks, just build bunkers, or just have Marines hang out and shoot at the Mutalisks when they get there. You don't need missile turrets, especially 3. Like, that seems like overkill. So, yeah, that's such a waste of resources if you could just have, like, a bunker full of Marines do the job of 3 missile turrets. This tells you to build a bunker, too, apart from the 3 missile turrets. So, again, I don't understand the logic there. This one's interesting, though, because this one introduces you to the battle cruisers, the first mission, I think, where you could build battle cruisers on your own. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's the first one. It doesn't matter. Anyway, so me personally, I think a lot of people did this too when they first played this mission, or even after, is you just go mass battle cruisers for this mission, especially up against the Protoss. Like, the worst they're going to do are photon cannons and Dragoons. Everything else are Zealots, which they can't do anything to battle cruisers. Plus, battle cruisers are badass, so of course you're going to build them in bulk the second the game tells you that you're allowed to build them. So my strategy, I think when I played the remastered version, I did more than this. Or maybe even just the same amount, but I put 15 battle cruisers. I don't know why it says optional. There's optional written there. I'm not sure what optional was. Because there's nothing else written. Like, it's just 15 battle cruisers. Which I don't know what 15, because that's a stack and 3 extras, but I don't know. But again, my question is it possible, or how hard would it be to beat this mission without battle cruisers, though? Like, that would be interesting. I want somebody to tell me how that works. I assume a lot of tanks would be involved. Siege tanks. because, yeah, I'm pretty sure everybody, the first time they get the option to use battle cruisers, yeah, they're going to build a whole crap ton of them. I'm surprised it's 15. I going with the whole 24 wraiths I've been putting in almost every mission up until now. Not every mission, but close. I'm surprised I didn't say 24 battle cruisers. I don't know why. Why all the overkill? This one I actually helped myself out with a lot. My strategy, again, it kind of would help if I read the actual strategy, but I feel like they don't mention this, and it's actually really good. The last mission of the Terran, not that hard. The worst part is it's kind of stressful because you get nukes dropped on you, and that can always suck. But the main objective is to take out the ion cannon, all the Star Wars. And there's a bunch of enemy bases, obviously, but you don't have to deal with them. But you do need their resources, and so as a kid, I actually figured out that the Sons of Koral, yeah, White Alpha Core, the Sons of Koral down here are actually the weakest of the two bases. And so when you build your secondary base, just run in here, take out these guys, and then use their minerals. You don't need to worry about this base afterwards. Like, you just defend from their attacks. In fact, I even drew lines. I kind of drew lines, I mean, basically right up in their porch here. But, you know, to defend yourself from attacks by them. Which isn't great. And again, this guide just goes crazy with all the turrets and what is this? Siege tanks or squares. Yeah, bunkers, siege tanks. Look at all these. Like, if you build this, do you really need all this down here afterwards? Like, again, it kind of seems like you're wasting resources. Anyway, the best thing to defend yourself with, and I figured this out on my own, and again, I don't think the guide tells you this, but really all you need to know, and I wrote it right here, is battle cruisers and science vessels. Right there. Because, again, they drop nukes on you left and right, which are usually by cloaked ghosts. And the best way, instead of building turrets, is to build a mobile detection device, a la the science vessel. So you basically leave that at your bases, a science vessel at your base, and have battle cruisers hanging around it. So the second you hear nuclear launch detected, you just grab your science vessel battle cruisers, send them over to where the only place the enemy would be coming from, in this sense, right in here. They always send it in from here, because I'm not an idiot and build a bunch of defenses away from my base. And, like, you find the ghost and you take it down easily. So, yeah, I don't know, it's weird. I was kind of proud of myself that I came up with this idea. Which, again, I used playing the remastered version. I remembered that. I was like, yeah, I need science vessels for this mission. Friggin' nukes, man. And weirdly enough, I'm pretty sure I put a takeout and dropship site right here for the ion cannon, and I'm pretty sure that's where I came in when I played the remastered version. So that's spooky. And then you get into the Zerg. It dies down after a while. Especially the first couple missions, because you don't need a guide. You really don't need my advice or a guide for any of these. A lot of the times, the game's kind of easy. Yeah, basically, overkill. Like, I don't know why, but I think I kind of do know why, but how I personally played it as a kid meant just stacks and stacks of units that aren't even necessary. Okay, this is an interesting one. Mission 3 of the Zerg. This one was weird, even going back into it, because I remember as a kid, this is one of the few missions in Starcraft where you can't really get by unless you follow one specific strategy, which of course I wrote down here. And of course, maybe overkilled it? It's actually pretty much spot on of what you need to do. But it's weird, because you're fighting against the Terran. It's only mission 3, so you don't have every unit at your disposal. I think you're just now introduced to Mutalisks as a unit, and you're given, like, it seems like very few resources to make, like, a lot of mistakes, you know? Especially, again, since they have so many freaking siege tanks. So if you think, oh, I'll just build a whole army of Zerglings, they'll all die. Oh, all my resources went to those army of Zerglings. I better build Mutalisks. Oh, I don't have enough resources to build Mutalisks. I basically have to restart the mission now. It's weird. again, it's one of the few missions in this game that seems to deadlock you if you fuck up or don't know what to do from the get-go. But yeah, basically you have to go Mutalisks. It's like that Terran mission all over again. There's 12 to 24 Mutalisks, which I think is an overkill in this case because Mutalisks are kind of shitty. I personally don't like Mutalisks that much. But being the only air unit you have, and, you know, the fact that, again, they have so many siege tanks, like, that's what you gotta do. And you have to spend your resources on upgrading them and making sure you build that many. Because they're not cheap. Yeah, I feel like they're the weakest of the Zerg units, but so I think 24 Mutalisks in any situation actually kind of works. Again, I don't like Wraiths either. I don't know. I like the big, bad flying units in Starcraft, but I never liked the tier below. Some of these are left blank. Oh, here we go. My friend started stepping in with some strategies. Yeah, when you play Zerg, you go Guardians. Like, and here he wrote 12 Guardians, 8 Hydras there. That's more accessible. That makes a lot more sense. And again, my friend wrote that, not me. But yeah, when you're Zerg, you go Guardians. When you're Protoss, you go Carriers. And when you're Terran, you go Battle Cruisers. Basically. Oh, here we go. This one has an attack plan we wrote, and I cannot follow it for shit. Like, we did, like, dotted lines throughout the whole map, and I cannot follow them at all. Like, you can kind of see them kind of petering off this way, but then they also kind of go up here, so I don't know, like, what do you do first? Like, which is funny, because this obviously draws some arrows too, but we apparently thought this was the right way, but then got kind of confused with our dots. Here we go. Guardians is a must. Written by my friend here. He also says, oh, did we put different strategies? I think we did. I put 12 Zerglings, 12 Hydras, 4 Guardians, and 12 Ultras. Jesus Christ. And he put, oh, these are different defenses. That's not my handwriting, is it? This book, actually, I need to point out, this book kind of mistreats Guardians. They talk about how badass carriers and battle cruisers are, but then when they go into like the Zerg Air Force, it seems weird saying Zerg Air Force, they don't really say much about the Guardians except for they're expensive. Creating a Guardian not only costs 100 gas and 50 minerals, but you must metamorph it from a Mutalisk, which has a price tag of 100 gas and 150 minerals. This means creating a Guardian costs 200 gas and 150 minerals altogether. Ouch. So protecting that investment is very important. Wait, that doesn't make sense. Hold on. Mutalisks cost 100 gas and 50 minerals. No, they don't. They cost 100 minerals. I just realized there's a typo in here. I'm pretty sure it's 100 gas. Yeah, 100 Oh, guide. Oh, guide. Anyway, 150 minerals altogether. Ouch, it says. Oh, shit. Ouch. So, and then, you know, it talks about, yeah, they're powerful and whatever, but, you know, it says the good and bad. It's not just talking crap about Guardians. You know, it says, you know, they pack a wallop. It's awesome attack power of 20. It packs enough of wallop to take out a missile turret in 10 hits, or one hit each from a group of 10 Guardians. Yeah, you know, that's all fine and dandy. What you neglect to mention, though, is that the Guardian's attack range is 8. Now, that means something. Let me educate you. Let me see. So, it's a flying unit. It can only attack ground, sure. Okay, that's fine. Back it up with Hydras, which are amazing. Its attack range is 8. So, anti-air, let's look at it. Spore colonies. Their attack range is 7. Oh, well, that means that a Guardian can kill a spore colony without even going near it and getting shot at by it. So basically it's an air unit that could take out air defense. But that's only for Zerg, right? Right? Well, no, because photon cannon range is only 7. And then and missile turret range is 7. You know where I'm going with this. So basically, they've got the most awesome range and most awesome damage from any other unit. Reavers, I'm pretty sure, have the same, if not more damage, but they're super slow and move on the ground, where this is a flying unit. So, yeah, you could take out bases so easily with a bunch of Guardians. You know, price be damned. Like, you're the Zerg. You should be collecting a lot of minerals and gas. That's just part of the strategy. So, yeah, it's weird. This game seems to underplay Guardians when I read about it, because, you know, they're essentially the Zerg's super fly unit, you know, like a super fly unit. They're air unit. They're big bad air unit. Again, you got the Terran, got the battle cruisers, Protoss got the carriers, big flashy ships, and then Zerg kind of get like weaker air units, but also the Scourge, which are anti big ships. You know, can take them out, or you know, suicide bombers essentially that can take out big flashy ships. But I would argue that Guardians are, you know, just as good as a battle cruiser or a carrier. You may need to build more of them to get something done that the other ships could do, but I don't know. I love them so much. They're so fun, so freaking powerful. And again, when you play Zerg, like, if you don't use them, you're gonna have a bad time, you know. And then you got the Protoss missions. Again, things kind of start petering out. 12 Zealots, 12 Dragoons. That's fair. 12 Scouts. I hate Scouts. Again, that lower tier of air units, I just never get used to. Oh, here we go. There's an optional battle you can get into in Mission 5, where if you go into a certain area, you get attacked by a bunch of Terran ships. And my friend put, enter because it's fun. 3 exclamation marks. No, don't do that, because again, you get attacked by a lot of, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of battle cruisers that go after you. Just by going to that area. And you can avoid that from happening and still beat the mission. So yeah, no, don't do that. Pushing and clearing and pushing and clearing. Destroyed base locations. Reavers. I actually wrote down Reavers in here. I never used Reavers. And Scouts. Man, it's a different player altogether back then. Okay, here's an interesting one. So, when I was playing the remastered version of this game, I got stuck in Protoss Mission 9 because I, honest to God, completely forgot how the map layout was and missed an entire whole second base, like off to the side of the map. So right here, you got a base you can build right here, and a base you can build over here. There's minerals over here, minerals over here. Yeah, I went over here, saw minerals, was like, okay, this is where I build my base. Started running out of minerals, and frantically started fighting the Zerg up here to try to get more minerals, because I was like, oh crap, I'm running out of resources. I don't remember this mission at all. So yeah, I lost, basically because I kept trying to fight the Zerg for their own minerals, without even realizing just over here, there's more minerals at my disposal. So after I finally figured that out, I was like, oh right, I build more bases. I still kept getting stomped by Zerg attacks, and I remembered this mission finally, and that even in the guide, it tells you to build a shit ton of photon cannons. These are all photon cannons they want you to build in this like little choke area between your two bases you build. And so I did that, and funnily enough, I noticed my notes in here, I circled them and put photon cannons actually works. Like, even young me was like, yeah, do this, because fuck their attacks. There's such bullshit in this mission. So many attacks. And then my attack unit, is actually kind of dropping down. 6 carriers. You think I would have said, 24 carriers, even though expense-wise that would have taken forever. And Arbiter. So Arbiters are interesting for me. I guess I'll go into the whole, epilogue to this ridiculous video I'm making. So basically, the remastered Starcraft game, obviously I'm still playing to this day. I got to the final mission in Brood War. Not the secret one, but the actual final mission, and am afraid to play it because of how ridiculous those missions have been up until now. I don't know, maybe I should take advice from old me and hoard a bunch of resources. But I've also been playing multiplayer against computer, but also with my best friend from when I was a kid. The same friend who wrote notes in this very same book with me. Yeah, I know. It's all coming back together. And so I've been playing a bunch of missions and stuff and kind of learned a lot more about Starcraft than young stupid me knew back in this day. And one of the bigger things I learned, for whatever reason, I always like playing Protoss. I don't know why. I guess I like the aesthetic of them. I'm not the kind of person who plays certain characters in games or certain strategies because like they suit me the best. I do it because I like the look of them. So hence I have the Protoss as probably my main if I actually played competitively, which fuck that. So we haven't played against computers, which you could argue computers are a lot harder than playing against real people in StarCraft, at least. Let's be honest here. But back as a kid, going back to Arbiters, back as a kid I remembered I used Arbiters a lot. And I used to think they were the shit because, they cloaked everything, within a certain radius. So you build a crap load of carriers, you have an Arbiter sit with them, and fucking invisible super weapon fighting machine, like destroying bases and crap. But playing multiplayer now and being the Protoss... Okay, here it is. I think. Yeah, okay, here it is. I realized that Arbiters fucking suck. Like, I mean, they're cool, and their use is awesome, but to get to them is fucking ridiculous. So, and also I know they have abilities, which I rarely ever use StarCraft abilities, like Psionic Thunder, whatever it's called, that the Templars have. Sometimes I try to use it, especially Psionic Thunder, whatever, it's the lightning attack that the Protoss Templars have, but it usually always backfires because obviously I'm not going to have the Templars in the front lines of a fight. I'm going to have them in the back. So when I select them, tell them to use Thunder in a certain area, they have to move their ass over to where I told them to set it, and then by that point either the enemy moved or my units are now where I was telling him where the lightning should go. Crap like that. Like science vessels I use mainly for detection. I never use the radiate or whatever. I never use queens, defilers, any of that crap. And I know arbiters have abilities too. They have pretty good ones, actually, as well. But they've never worked. Micromanaging has never been my strong suit, so maybe they're worth it if you use their abilities, but, just for the whole kit and caboodle of being able to cloak everything around you, sounds awesome, and I used to use them as a kid just for that pure awesome factor. So I have here the Protoss building tree, and again, playing in multiplayer, I've realized that in order to get to an Arbiter, to be able to build one, you have to build a gateway, a cybernetics core, a Citadel of Adun, a Stargate, Templar Archives, and an Arbiter Tribunal. That's 6 buildings you have to build before you can get an Arbiter out. And even then, you still have to pay for it, resource-wise, and wait for it to load. And that's just to bulk make your whole army, again, how I use them, just to make your entire army invisible. Which is really stupid when you consider, let's see, what's good detection? Well, let's see, for Protoss, let's take away the whole fact that anti-air defenses usually have detection to begin with. For a Protoss character to be able to detect, I'm trying to think, it would have to be, so you'd have to get an observer in order to see cloaked units from an arbiter, right? So in order to get an observer, you have to get a gateway, a cybernetics core, a robotics facility, and an observatory. It's only 4 buildings you need to build for one really cheap unit, and really fast building too, I think, that can detect every invisible unit. Hence, an arbiter, which took you, 6 buildings to get to. How about the Protoss? Well, you just build an overlord. Bam. Your arbiter is completely worthless because the Zerg have overlords everywhere, and we'll be able to just fly one over, and yeah. Oh, well, how about the Terrans? Do they actually cover? Oh, they do. Okay. I forgot what it's called. Oh, so command center. For Terran, you build a barracks, an academy, and a comsat station, and then you just scan. You see an arbiter, you hit scan, you see all the invisible units. Like, arbiters seem like fucking shit now, right? Not to mention, again, playing against computer, like, especially as far as detection goes. Like, I always, as a kid, and even when I sucked more as a kid, but even to this day, I feel like the amount of units the computer builds is bullshit unfair. Like, there's some cheating going on between the computer. Probably, you know why? Probably because the computer has the ability to get a unit straight out of a building that created it to resources. It could go worker from a building to resources instantly. Whereas, as a human, you have to click, and then be done with it. Whereas computer can just, they have that ability that you had in Warcraft 3 and Starcraft 2, where you just send workers straight to resources. But no, you have to manually click, and thus the computer is a bunch of cheating bullshit. But also with detection. I swear, I played games with my friend where I would have like a Dark Templar, like within the enemy base. There's no turrets nearby. He can't see me. And then I decide, I'm going to attack this SCV. I slice the SCV. Instantly, the comsat station is scanning my location. And let's think about this, like, in a human perspective. If you're a human player, you'd be doing your own, obviously you're not going to be sitting there looking at your workers. You'd be doing something else, hear the alarm that your units are under attack, go over where it says there's an attack, look around, see nothing, and then until you realize, oh, it's invisible, hit the comsat station, hit scan, and then check. But no, with the computer, instantaneous. And it works with other things too, like if you attack Zerg with an invisible unit, suddenly, like, it doesn't matter how far away from their base they were, suddenly an overlord's just there. Like, the second the attack happens, they're sending an overlord over. Like, they know it's invisible, and they know how to counter it. Same happens with observers sometimes, with Protoss. But usually they have photon cannons everywhere anyway, so... But still, it's such bullshit playing against computer, I swear. They freaking cheat. I swear one time I might have accidentally told my units to attack instead of just move without attacking anything. But I swear one time I sent a bunch of Dark Templars out in one direction and then came back and found that they had all been killed by a unit, which, again, if they weren't hostile, there's no reason for the computer to scan that area, So it's like, it's frustrating. But yeah, that's just... it's a pet peeve of mine, but it's interesting. Again, like, an arbiter is useless. And I learned that through just pure experience playing against computer now when I'm older. But yeah, so that was the unofficial guide to StarCraft. Using the official guide to StarCraft, my friend and I basically defaced a public work in order to inform the masses. Again, just like the uninformative guide to Myst. Who was this for? Well, apparently it was for 20-something-year-old me to dig through storage and realize what a dumbass I was back in the day. But yeah, it was a lot of fun looking back at this. Again, I should really check some of these actual strategies in here to see if we hit the mark. Or if we defied what this person considered a good strategy. 24 Wraiths. I should play that mission again. I'm going to have to for clips in this video. I should actually follow these strategies. Oh my god. It's going to hurt. Again, it's really fascinating that I'm going through the game again now and trying to speed my way through, trying to play how a normal person would play, and how that essentially goes against my base instincts, according to this book. Also, this just came off. Damn it. It's old, okay? It's an old book. Belongs in a museum. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. And StarCraft, ahoy!